Stop the cap.
I got a bunch of rants coming. Had a discussion with a Gen Xer, and man, the shit that he was saying is just retarded. Let me say that right off top. But mm, this caramel chocolate is so good. All right, let's get into it. So, a couple people wanted me to speak on this Vivek Ramaswamy, Elon Musk thing. I already told y'all they don't want to pay anybody. You know, what you're looking at is, if you want to call it end stage capitalism, the Gilded Age. Um, Bottom line, they don't want to pay anybody. They're always trying to find employees are an expense, and they're always trying to find a way to cut costs. And bringing in these HB1 visas, immigrants, um, is a way to do that because they can exploit them. Because if you don't meet the requirements of your visa, like let's say you come over on a visa, you can't just quit your job. So they get to use you and abuse you. Um, they can pretty much lowball you on the pay, right? Where the pay is enough to where when you take the money back to India, you'll be balling out of control. But here in the States, you're not going to get paid what an American would expect, especially with education being so high. If somebody goes to Stanford and they spend, 100,000, 150,000, 200,000 to get an education, and then they graduate and they got a, master's degree in computer science, they're going to expect, multiple six figures. All these companies, they don't want to pay that type of money. So what do? They outsource the labor. Basically, what you're seeing is exactly what happened to the American auto workers back in the 1970s. Why make these cars in Detroit, right, where everything was good post World War II, because the rest of the world was bombed to shit, right? They needed manufactured goods, and America was pretty much the only location that was untouched and developed enough. So everything was manufactured here. But then somewhere around 1970s, they were like, let's outsource this shit and we can make it for cheaper in places like China. We can make it cheaper in places like, Latin America, Mexico, right? A lot of the parts, this is where you start seeing doesn't say made in America, it says assembled in America, shit like that. Because the parts are coming from elsewhere, right? Because it's cheaper. Hence why all these companies, have record profits. But I have a video coming where I'm talking about like pretty much the world's going to have to go to a resource-based economy or something like that because there's no new markets. If all these other places, I mean, the only real new market is Africa, but Africa is just like the world's mine, to be mined of its natural resources. And then Asia, China acts as the world's factory, but the West realizes that China, they got issues with China. So they're like, okay, well, let's find some new place to find cheap labor. I told you, if they really could, they would just have a barge that has all the manufacturing facilities on the barge, and they would just move it around the oceans to the coast of whatever countries like second and third world conditions. And they would pay those people, and the quality of life would go up for like the next 50 to 100 years. And then, the children that grew up with parents that had good jobs, they would want, the either at least the same or more opportunity. And eventually they would get to a point where they would be demanding too much money, and the companies would just pick up their barge and then just go sail to another third world country and then exploit them. Right? What happens when there's no new markets to exploit? This is the whole thing with China and the BYD and the electric vehicles. The United States is desperately trying to prevent them, from bringing $20,000 Chinese vehicles that look like they're worth $60,000 into the country because it would totally wreck the American auto industry. Okay, this is, global capitalism competition going on because, the boomers and, some of the Gen Xers didn't prepare for anything, just greedy. They didn't set it up right. They just treated America as this extraction operation. But I find it funny with the whole Vivek Ramaswamy situation since he's a member of the buffer class, right? Y'all remember PBD was up there and look at the Indian Americans and they killing it. Oh, black people, why can't you be like those Indian Americans? Right? Completely ignoring things like you all, as the banks, you give them capital, not PBD because he's Iranian, but we all know that he's a shill for the far right. But I'm saying they give them capital. They don't give black people capital, right? This was the whole thing with redlining. Then you have the aspects of some Indians, but mostly like Pakistanis. They marry their first cousins. Arabs too marry their first cousins. They keep the wealth in house. If you're out here marrying your first cousin, I'm pretty sure you can keep a lot of wealth in the family. But that's a whole nother topic. But it's funny how when it comes to throwing black people underneath the bus, when black people start talking about or making demands for reparations and all the things that have transpired against black people, redlining, blockbusting, Jim Crow, eminent domain, urban renewal, convict leasing, debt peonage, COINTELPRO, right? Denial of access to the Homestead Act, all that shit, right? Denial to Social Security. There was another one. There was a new one that I recently discovered, racial housing covenants. There was another one. I can't think of what it was. You know what I mean? But all type of fuck. Oh yeah, the healthcare with Frederick Ludwig Hoffman, and how the whole reason we don't have universal healthcare is because of eugenics and racism. During the Gilded Age. Yeah, it was like 1896. Yeah, that was the Gilded Age. I mean, we're in a Gilded Age 2.0. People don't already know that. With gross wealth inequality, now that we have AI, they don't want to pay anybody. And this is what like white Americans, all these MAGA people fail to understand. I was arguing with somebody else earlier today about, Kamala Harris losing the election. And I'm like, she needed to lose the election, aside from the fact that Democrats didn't have anything for, the working class, period, and especially not black people. But I'm like, no, everything that's happening now, everything that everybody's like, oh my God, they're getting awful and all this, we told you so. You wouldn't have been able to, we told you so, if the Republicans didn't win. If they didn't have the House and the Senate and the presidency and the judiciary, because everything is on them right now. This is why MAGA's going crazy. They're like, yo, this is not what we elected you. We didn't bring you in here for you to give goodies to immigrants, for you to give economic opportunities to immigrants. Now, there's another play as well, because if you let the smartest immigrants come into America, then you deprive other countries that you're competing with of those immigrants. So there's another reason why they want to do that. But primarily it's because they don't want to fucking pay anybody. Which flies in the face. I'll tell you where the white nationalists and the neo-Nazis are 100% correct. And I've been saying this. If you're going to talk about the reinstitution of a strong, heteronormative, cisgendered, white, patriarchal, Judeo-Christian families, then you better start talking about young white men being gainfully employed. But again, this country doesn't want to make the investment. I mean, it's hilarious as a black American watching, and how many times have I said this? That they're using the same talking points against white Americans. The same shit that black people were told. Oh, you're lazy. Oh, it's your culture. All that shit. And Vivek Ramaswamy went up there and said that shit. Vivek. You got to think of like when you look at Vivek Ramaswamy, like he's never lost in his life. That's how he like looks at the world. I think what did he go to Harvard or something like that, and then he did his little finesse with the pharmaceutical company, and then pulled the plug on everybody. People get their wigs pushed back for that shit, but that's a whole nother conversation. But I'm saying, um, they'll go and they'll what do you want to call it? He went through and made his millions and billions from that shit. And what was I gonna say? Why am I going blank? He made his millions from that. To him, he's arrogant. He's never lost. It's just so easy. It's all comes so easy because I deal in intangible shit. I deal with speculation. I deal with gambling. I deal with, hey, give me your money. I'll flip it three ways by, finessing through some regulations and shit, and leaving everybody else without their bag. It's just tight. Like if you go and you look up Vivek Ramaswamy and how he actually came into his money in the pharmaceutical finesse that he did, you'll understand. You'll understand, like how the man moves. So I'm saying his arrogance, and the thing is he's fully embraced like essentially white identity, even though he's had multiple people, Ann Coulter, and then that couple that told his wife point blank, that we know people that aren't going to vote for him because he's an Indian. Okay, but he seems to be unfazed by that. He's just still like rolling on the high of the arrogance and the whole wagging his finger at black people's because that's what white people sold. White people sold the idea that America is a meritocracy and it's my hard work and my bootstraps and personal responsibility, and America's not racist, right? And some of these immigrants, they come here and they buy into that bullshit. Right. And again, since white America is so hyper focused on black Americans and in 1350 and and the black people and they committing crime. Again, America has the black people it deserves. America has done everything to cripple the black community. Redlining, blockbusting, Jim Crow, eminent domain, urban renewal, convict leasing, debt peonage, COINTELPRO, freaking Jim Crow, denying, burning down black communities. Right? Corbin, Kentucky, Elaine, Arkansas, freaking Wilmington, North Carolina, Cowee, Florida, freaking Slocum, Texas, Omaha, Nebraska, East St. Louis, right? Springfield, Illinois, 1903, Chicago, 1990. The list just goes on and on and on. Those are just the ones that I can always remember off the top of my head. Okay? But the white community has done everything in their power to fuck the black community up. And they're running around surprised that they got to deal with niggas. Fuck y'all. Deal with the niggas. That's all I can say. You did a lot of damage to the black community. It's going to take a lot of energy and resources to put shit back. Again, it's always easy to shatter a glass, a glass of water and just drop it on the ground. The glass goes everywhere. How difficult it is to put that shit back together. And that's what white Americans don't want to do. They don't want to put that shit back together. So while they've been hyper-focused on us, they've basically been ignoring, the Asians and the Indians, treating them as a model minority, using and weaponizing them against the black community. And so, what do you think is going to happen when you're running around, making Indians and Asians your little pet? Oh, Asian Americans. Oh, yeah, those undeserving black people. We're not going to talk about the legacy students. No. We're not going to talk about that. But and those bullshit ass sports that you only see at Ivy League schools like squash. All that is a backdoor for the rich kids to get into school and say that they got in on a sports scholarship. It's backdoor shit. It's white privilege shit. Okay? Either white privilege or if you are exceedingly wealthy and you donate fucking $10 million to Harvard, oh yeah, they'll get you in. They'll make sure that you get in. Regardless of wherever the fuck you come from, because money talks, bullshit walks. Right? But they got the Asians, they use the Asians to get rid of affirmative action. White people like, yeah, right? Then you got Vivek Ramaswamy, right? Again, A couple months ago, it was all, and Asian Americans, they have the highest GDP and they have the highest, not GDP, household income. Indian Americans have the highest household income, right? And they had, look at black people. They just so happen to be at the bottom. Yeah, black people, you need to be like them Indian Americans. What's wrong with you? They just got here yesterday and they kicking more ass than you. Hell, they kicking more ass than white Americans. I mean, just look at them go, right? That was them. But now that Vivek said what he said, using their own talking points against them, well, I guess you white folks, you better engage in some personal responsibility and wear the tiger moms, and y'all need to get good grades, and y'all need to study harder like us hardworking Asians, but y'all white Americans, y'all have become complicit and lazy, and what's the word that I'm looking for? And there's just too much mediocrity in white America. All the white people, they didn't want to hear that. These motherfuckers over here just blowing a gasket. Oh, they so offensive. See, again, this goes all the way back. Go and find this article. The article is called Ghost of White People Past. Read that shit. Read that shit. That was already laid out in there. White people were leaving the Asian ethnoburbs because they felt that their kids couldn't compete. See, what white people want is they want to be mediocre. Even though they run around, it should only be the person that's qualified for the job. Well, Asians out-qualify you. So now what? Now what? These jobs is for white Americans. See, this is the same thing that Amos Wilson said in his one of his speeches where he talked about, what would happen if you integrated the school. What did he say? What would happen if black kids started getting straight A's in the city of New York? Speaking to the tribalism and the group economics. And the point that he was making is white people don't have to have that nasty conversation because black students are failing before they get there. Right? But if black students were kicking ass and they were getting straight A's and they were outperforming the white students, guaranteed the white people would go from it's a meritocracy to these goddamn jobs is for white folks. Go create your own goddamn jobs. Right? They would quickly switch up and start talking, about tribalism and group economics and what's for white folks because white folks put it together and white folks, created it. You see? They only talk meritocracy when they think that you're so far behind they don't have to worry about you. Then it's a meritocracy. But as soon as you, start creeping up on them or God forbid surpass them, then all of a sudden then the true selves come out. These jobs is for white folks. These ain't for you. Go back to your own country or go somewhere or create your own shit. Right? That's what they're really on. I told you, these white folks are pathological. I don't know how many times I got to say it. They're pathological. People can get mad and try to cry and, that's hate speech. No, it's not. It's true. You guys demonstrate it every day. Every day you demonstrate it. The white fragility, the white paranoia of losing position, losing power, not even paying attention to your own classism. Again, Europe had kings, queens, nobles, and peasants. And the vast majority of you all come from the peasantry. If you were balling out of control in Europe, why the fuck would your ancestors have left? You all were over there dying of plague, dying of disease. What's so funny, I'm looking at this comment from X that freaking Laura Loomer, put up there talking about Indians and, they're what did she say? Why are people in India still shitting in the water they bathe and drink from? That's pretty much all of European history. Right? But what's funny is when you go to India, right? And you type in ancient Indian temples, right? And you see the magnificent Indian temples, the Ellora caves, and many other temples that are in India, right? And they're just mind-blowing, the Indus Valley civilization, right? And we see all the things that were, in India, right? In the ancient world, in India. Even one of the British that went to India, he was one of like the viceroys of India, And he had, unlike some of the other viceroys, had a great appreciation for India. And it was like they're a far much older culture and ancient civilization, right? I'm not going to get into, and the Dravidians are, a ancient Negroid people who left Africa. We already know. They're already saying that shit online. They're having their debates. You can pull a bunch of them up on YouTube, and you have two distinct populations: the Aryan or Iranian pastoralists, and then you have the Dravidians, who are those from the south, those who don't speak Hindi, they speak Tamil and Telugu, right? They speak those languages. They're in the south, and they're the darker skinned ones. But it's just funny because when you want to talk about the conditions of India today, the conditions of India today are the direct result of what the British did and the Dutch did to India with the East Indian, the East Indian Dutch Company or something like that, right? The Battle of Plassey, right? I talked about this before. Mir Jafar of Bengal, and how they, he was used to betray. What is it? The Nawab, Siraj Dakdola. I don't even know how to say his name properly. Possibly that's close enough. But in any event, right? They went in there and they undermined this civilization and they exploited it. Go look at the famines in India caused by the British. It was an extraction operation. Everywhere white people go is an extraction operation. It was an extraction operation in Latin America. That's why Latin America is the way that it is. Aside from all the bullshit that the CIA did and all the undermining of socialist governments in Latin America and the assassination of leaders. Same thing in Africa, right? Same thing in India, right? Same thing in China. Their whole 100 years of humiliation. Again, going back to why they're flooding, selling the components to make fentanyl to the Mexican government, and then the Mexicans, and not the Mexican government, but to the Mexican cartels, and then the Mexicans bring that into the United States, right? Because technically speaking, as I said in another video, America is essentially the extension of a European power. So Chinese don't give a fuck about fucking up America. As far as they're concerned, they fucking up white people just like white people came all the way to their side of the world and we're fucking them up with, them having to fight 2 opium wars and then making the Chinese pay millions of dollars in silver as reparations for what the British lost. Like, meanwhile, the Chinese, lost millions of lives, destroyed their economies, destroyed their civilization, and which is why people like Mao Zedong came to power in the first place. And you had the whole Great Leap Forward and their whole position on wiping out all the drug addicts, and pretty much all of Southeast Asia has taken this position as a result. That's why every once in a while you hear about some British person getting caned or getting the death penalty for trafficking narcotics. They don't play that shit. But anyway, what else was I going to say? I kind of got off topic or off track. Oh, I remember. So let me read Laura Loomer's comment, Miss Plastic Face. So Laura Loomer says, our country was built by white Europeans, actually, not third world invaders from India. First off, our country was built by white Europeans. No, this America was built by black African slaves that you got from Africa so that you could get them to do all the work after stealing the land from Native Americans. See all this revisionist history? See all this manifest destiny bullshit that white people try to come with? They really want. This is what they hate about African Americans, because we remind them of who the fuck they actually are. Anyway, it was white Europeans who created the American dream. Actually, it wasn't white Europeans who created the American dream. Well, I guess technically speaking, they're white Europeans because Ashkenazis are white Europeans. But I'm saying it was actually, to be more specific, the Ashkenazi Jews that created the American dream. And if you don't believe me, go watch the documentary Hollywoodism. It's over there on Real Black. Go watch the whole thing. And then you'll see how integral Jewish Americans have been in the concept of the American dream. I mean, hell, even freaking much of the Christmas songs that Christians love so much. I'm dreaming of a white Jewish composer. Not even Christian. So anyway, where am I at? And we didn't create it, so wait, where is it? It was the white Europeans who created the American dream, and we didn't create it so that it could be exploited by pro-open border techies like you, right? Or excuse me, this is at CloudWatch. This isn't at Vivek Ramaswamy. I don't know what CloudWatch is, but in any event, right? She's taking a dig at Indians because of Vivek Ramaswamy's comments. So pro-open border techies like you. P.S. Why are people in India still shitting in the water they bathe and drink from? And I want to say this to all the countries out here that are considered second world, and y'all don't want to be honest with yourselves about where or how you're viewed on the global stage. Okay? Europeans and Americans look at the rest of the world as dust. Okay? As dust. One of the ways in which, Africa and Asia got fucked up is because Asians, Africans, and Indians all have this attitude, and even Arabs all have this attitude of wanting to be special, right? Believing in the concepts of monarchies and, divine blue blood and all that other shit, and treating their own people like shit. Okay? In the grand scheme of things, when you're challenging and you're talking about white supremacy, you cannot afford to do that. I see Nigerians doing that a lot, where the Nigerians that are wealthy, upper class, you see how they're living, right? Nigerians have kind of improved their reputation because of Afro beats and seeing these, wealthy entertainers and seeing some of the opulent wealth, the Nigerian weddings that people can, they can intimately see because of social media, TikTok, all that sort of stuff. So they have a slightly better view, but make no mistake about it. I mean, all I gotta do is pull up the videos of the Nigerian Delta, and how the oil companies are having problems with the oil pirates and whatnot, because you've allowed these other groups to come into the nation and contaminate the waterways, and fishing was their livelihood. Like, I think last time I checked, it was like 78% of Nigeria lives in abject poverty. And y'all somehow think because you got you some Lululemon or a Birkin bag, or some bullshit elevating white people, but this is how they think about you. Okay? If Laura Loomer was talking about some Africans, this whole Twitter comment is not going to be, or X comment is not going to be any different. You know what I mean? They love to use these non-African American, people to weaponize them against African Americans and say, oh, why can't you be like them? But the minute that y'all get beside yourself, they're going to remind you how fucked up and dusty and the standard of living it is, in your country. The fact that you have people fleeing your country, you want to feel arrogant about how awesome and beautiful India or Africa, I know Africa's a continent, but I'm saying any country in Africa, I'm particularly talking about Nigeria right now. You want to talk about, how everything's just wonderful there, but yet you have nothing but young men fleeing to get to Europe. So Europeans and white Americans have every reason to basically talk the shit that they talk in terms of you wanting to go there. Even though, again, them with their ahistorical bullshit, I'm aware of the fact that the reason why America is what America is and why Europe is what Europe is is because of all the wealth and all of the resources that they stole from the global south. That's the only reason that they're there. The crazy thing is, how were Europeans living before Europeans left Europe? Dusty as fuck. They were living, they was on some, Mad Madigan, they was living like Willow and shit. Dusty. Okay? It wasn't until the Industrial Revolution, it wasn't until the colonization and exploitation of resources and the vacuuming of massive amounts of wealth back to Europe and back to the Americas, right? I should say, yeah, extraction from the Americas, that Europe became wealthy. Okay? America, they were getting their money off of the backs of black African slaves. So the problem that people in Africa, people in India, and people in Asia, have is, what I see a lot of times is, number one, you don't focus on enriching your own people. You focus on exploiting your own people because you're so busy trying to chase the status of white people in your own country. You're so busy trying to do that you don't build up your own country to the point where white people can't talk shit. Where you can say, homeless people, we don't have homeless people. We solved that problem. Starving people, we don't have starving people. We solved that problem. Sewage systems, we have some of the best sewage systems in the world. Water shortages, what are you talking about? We have nuclear desalination plants, all over the place. Our water is clean. There is no lead. Y'all don't develop and build in your own infrastructure. Y'all got Swiss bank accounts, and you go over there and you go shopping in France, and you act like you're on the same level, as the white people who have exploited your regions. You're literally, the leaders of the global south are just as bad as the Europeans. And then you look like some assholes when these white sociopaths get online and start talking about how, they're living these upper middle class lifestyles in America, and how your country, your home base is dusty. You can't sit there and point to like one tiny segment of your home base. Yeah, sure, you could talk about, well, what about the poor people in Appalachia? But the poor people in Appalachia still got more going on than many of the people, the majority of the people in India, the majority of the people in Africa, the majority of the people in Southeast Asia, until you raise their standard of living to where white people, which you're seeing the beginnings of this, want to go and live over there. And let's face it, the white people only want to live over there because they got them US dollars and those euros that have more purchasing power outside of Europe and America. If they didn't have those US dollars, they wouldn't be trying to flee and go to Southeast Asia and go to these other countries where their dollar goes a lot further. Which is that's a whole nother conversation about the IMF and all the fuckery of the IMF, where I think you can only have, like, the only people that have been in charge of the IMF are Europeans and Americans. I forget which one it is. Like, I think Europeans are in charge of the IMF, and then like the American is in charge of like the global bank or something like that. So, I mean, it's just white supremacy through and through. But a lot of y'all don't realize that. A lot of the global south, we know that black people have been shit on the most. And so a lot of y'all get on the piggyback, or you piggyback off of what white people have done in terms of shitting on black people, and then you try to create this totem pole, this pecking order of who's furthest away from black people and closer to white people. And again, when you get beside yourself, they're going to be up there talking about, your dirty ass unhygienic food, and how you over there cooking food with your feet and your hands, and like what's his name? Super Ray 14K, where he's talking about, get you some of that wrist sauce, get you some of that elbow. Nah, you got to put some more feet in there. Nah, you got to spit in there. All that vendor food that you're seeing, all these videos from India. Oh, that shit looks horrible. See, shit like that makes it very hard to talk shit as an Indian when it comes to what the culture is of white Americans. Even though I agree with you, because I mean, hell, Donald Trump is the epitome of white mediocrity and how white supremacy is able to elevate white mediocrity. He's the epitome of it with his limited vocabulary. Okay, you can be mediocre as a white man and be extremely successful. Nobody else has that luxury. Nobody else has that luxury. That is exclusively a white privilege. And Donald Trump exemplifies that. You see? But again, when you got people over there, got rats crawling around, you got the dude with one arm slapping the patties, slapping the rotis underneath his armpit, and then frying it on the grill. That's some hard shit to talk some shit against. I'm just saying. That's some. I wouldn't want to talk shit again. With that as my backdrop. Oh hell no. Oh hell no. I just walk out the room. Motherfucker you start talking some Hindi shit, and all of a sudden motherfuckers start playing all these street vendor videos of how dirty and unhygienic they are, on the streets of Mumbai and New Delhi or whatever Indian city. What is it? Is it New Delhi? It was New Delhi before, and they call it, what is it, Mumbai or Bombay? I gotta do my research on my Indian cities. I don't know my Indian cities like that. I know more cities from other country. I gotta get into. I like my maps and knowing like where things are, but I haven't really done extensive. I'm more like into the ancient temples of India as opposed to like what cities are. I don't think about their cities. I just know that there's gonna be like, two rich ass Punjabi dudes, who are music artists. You got freaking Tata, right? And I think he died recently, right? You got Tata, right, who owns Jaguar, I think. And then you got freaking, a bunch of Bollywood people, and that's like all the rich people in India. Like, that's what it looks like to an American. I'm just letting y'all know. That's what it looks like. Bollywood, Tata. I think there's another guy that owns like Steel or something like that. And then everything else is like Slim Dog Millionaire. Everything else is kids rummaging through the garbage. You know what I mean? Everything else is like people trying to hustle and give massages on the street and ear cleanings and shit like that. Dusty shit. Dusty shit. Street doctors, street dentists. You know what I mean? That's what India is known for. India is not known, to be some shit where you walk out of the house in your bathrobe and pick up your mail and wave to your neighbor, and you can see his wife looking at her, some television show on her, 60-inch television. No, it doesn't look like suburban America. So continuing, she says, don't talk to me as an don't talk to me as an American citizen about innovation, capital letters, when we actually have running water and indoor plumbing here in America. You see how to, and again, why is India backwards? Again, the elites in India, greedy as fuck, just like all of the leaders in the global South, on top of the fact that, again, the long history of European exploitation of the region. But I'm saying it's been, many, at least 2 centuries since, and the priority doesn't seem to be, we got to get as many people in the middle class as possible. That's not a priority of India. That's not a priority of Southeast Asia. I can say that was a priority of China. China tried that, but China is like, they don't have any social safety nets. China's got a bunch of problems. Okay? And in Africa, okay, you got some Nigerians that throw money in the air to some Afro beats, but as soon as you walk out of the building, it's dirt roads, it's dudes walking around with ashy feet. You know what I'm saying? It's people trying to sell you stuff. You're getting harassed. Kids are following you all over the place. I've seen them videos, people going on tours in Africa, and kids won't leave them alone, begging for money and shit like that. That's what the world sees. And y'all don't get that. Y'all think, oh, well, I went to, like some African dude talking about, I went to Harvard and I got a PhD. Niggas, so the fuck what? The rest of your country is dusty. That's how they look at it. You just can't, you can't just be the exception and think that that's going to be the reputation for your nation. You got to bring at least like 70% of people to that level. This is how America created the image of what America was in the 1950s. It increased the quality of life for most white Americans in the 1950s. It didn't decrease it. They shared the wealth. But now, white Americans, the white elites, the billionaires, they've lost sight of that. And now they're on the brink of revolution. Because the millennials and the zillennials, they don't play that shit and they're about to crash out. They want what was promised. And what was promised was upward mobility. So I'm just saying to the global south, okay, to the people who like to go and listen to, damn, why can't I think of what his damn middle nation, okay, this is what you all have to correct. I'm speaking to you right now. This is what you have to correct. Because if you don't correct it, if you don't get more of your people into the middle class where they're not trying to leave your country for America, you're going to get white people who get to talk shit like this. Yeah, where's your running water, bitch ass nigga? Where's your running water? You got people sleeping on the streets. Shows how sophisticated your society is, right? Just being completely ahistorical as fuck. But again, you got the, people in your country that got billions of dollars, like that dude in India that got all the, he got billions and had to, paid for Rihanna to come out and Beyonce and all this other shit and throwing money around like it's fucking running water. But yet you got dudes on the street trying to sell food with the wrist sauce. Come on now. Perhaps you need to retake your American history class. Do the tech billionaires you work with in Silicon Valley even bother teaching their third world hires about American history anymore? She don't even know American history. Fuck she talking about? Or are you only interested in your invader supremacist revisionist history? This bitch is the one with revisionist history. Like, actually, I don't know. She's talking to whoever this at Cloud Watcher 199 is, but she's the one with revisionist history. And Vivek Ramaswamy, I mean, he don't get it, man. He just doesn't get it. It's like when Ann Coulter told him to his face, I wouldn't vote for you because you're an Indian. And that motherfucker just with his stupid grin. I'm like, dude, she just offended you to your face and you didn't even do shit. Now I'm not going to lie, I kind of low key like the dig that white people are getting right now. Like when it comes to what Vivek said, and I don't know if it was done intentionally. It kind of sort of might have been, but that wasn't a smart move for him. I mean, as a black American, I love it. I do love it. Because again, white people definitely need a taste of their own medicine. But the problem that, that I've continuously talked about is white people don't have a class consciousness. They thought that Trump was going to get in there and it was going to be the reestablishment of white supremacy and minorities were going to live in the shadows of white people and that white people were going to be first in line to get economic opportunities so that they can build their Judeo-Christian middle class, America, looking like what's that damn video game called? That damn with the nuclear war video game. What's that shit called? I can't think of what it is. With the cowboy with the blue shirt on. Damn, what's that damn thing called? Not Far Cry. What is it called? Y'all know what I'm talking about. I can't even think of what it is. By Bethesda. You know what I'm talking about. Y'all got 10 people are gonna write in the comment section. But yeah, they want to go back to that sort of 1950s model of what they think, America is. Back to the Future type shit. Bum 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 bum. Right? that Mr. Sandman shit. That's what they want to go back to. And they think if we just get rid of the Mexicans, which again, that's why even though food is expensive, that's why at its expensive price currently, it's still cheaper than it otherwise would be if they actually hired Americans and actually paid American fair wages. Like white people still haven't come to the terms with the fact that it's class warfare and they don't want to pay anybody. They're holding on to that white supremacist blanket like the little white boy in Charlie Brown and shit like that, walking around with the blanket. They won't give it up. Dusty ass blanket of white supremacy. They're like, no, we're gonna wait this shit out. All we need is for Donald Trump to be the white supremacist that we voted him to be and put the white supremacists that we wanted to be in the position, and then everything will go back to being what we consider normal, which is white people on top, white people living in the suburbs, all the other minorities, fucking running around like a bunch of scavengers, in some post-apocalyptic movie and shit, like white people walk down the street and then when like a black person sees them, they like act like they're vampires that are like being thrust into the sunlight, and then like that we scurry away into an alley somewhere. Like that's what they want. That's the type of America, that they want. And it'll have its racial hierarchy. It's like Wolfenstein. They want it to be like Wolfenstein when the Nazis took over and whatnot. Okay. And they want, the Indians, they'll be elevated over black people. So they'll be like the house Negroes and shit like that. Apu will be folding their clothes. Apu, have you seen my trousers? You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm telling you, that's what these white folks want. Instead of recognizing that the white elites, they capitalize on divide and conquer and all the cultural war bullshit and everything else, and make sure that the minorities and the working class white people never come together and form Voltron. The white people are, y'all drank the Snapple, man. I'm telling y'all drank the goddamn Snapple. And unfortunately, I don't know if you're gonna have. Maybe you do. You guys are still like 75% of the population, something like that. But I'm saying you're still all over the place. You still don't recognize class warfare. You still haven't built you're gonna have to build the shit from the ground up. You're gonna have to build a grassroots organization that is about the people, which is going to look like socialism. But you got all those white conservatives. They tell you, oh, that's communism. Anything for the people is communism. Right? But yet it says at the beginning, what does it say at the Constitution? We the people. Like, if it's we the people and y'all love the Constitution so much, where are you actually going to start operating like we the people? I know some of you wanted to say we the white people, right? But like I said, your racism is going to be the death of you. It's going to be the death of you. Seriously speaking. Because if you don't think that, the Luigi Mangione thing, that's got the white billionaires, like they're making moves right now. So your time is limited to actually do something. Okay, they're making sure, we got to make sure that shit don't happen again. We got to put some protections into place. They didn't take that shit just lying down. They're nervous, but they didn't take it lying down. But you ain't organizing shit. You guys are still over here. You're going to waste 4 years begging Donald Trump to reinstitute white supremacy. Meanwhile, he's giving all the billionaires all the deregulation to do whatever the fuck they want to do, turn everybody into an at-will employee. They can fire you at any time, get rid of entitlements, get rid of, Social Security or they're doing it right now to like appease the boomers until they die. But, when they die, that shit's going to be over with. What else are they going to, just give the billionaires all the shit they want. Allow them to fire people without there being any sort of compensation. Get rid of workers' comp or make the restrictions, much greater. right? I mean, they're going to remove everything. They already moved pensions. They already removed pensions. Got you over there gambling with the 401k, and you got to take money out of to pay taxes at the end. It's just taxes delayed. Taxes delayed or taxes deferred. But at the end of the day, you're still going to have to pay the taxes on that money. You're still going to have to pay that up. As soon as you go to take I got a great 401k, right? Companies don't have to match shit, right? They psyched you out of that shit. And now, you all are, just allowing them to just get more of their way and then tell you, anytime you try to oppose this shit, you got to let this happen because, this is what's preventing me from actually hiring you and paying you. Right? And again, what have I said all this time? Going back to that regional airlines PBS video. What have I been saying all this time? They don't want to pay anybody. What did that white man say in that video? They don't. The airline union president. They don't want to pay anybody. They don't want to pay the pilots. They don't want to pay the flight attendants. They don't want to pay the mechanics. They don't want to pay the ground crew. They don't want to pay anybody. Okay? And y'all just keep losing sight of that. You think, if they get rid of all the minorities, they're going to hire us because they really want to hire us because they really care about white babies and white cultural continuation or whatever. They don't give a fuck about that. Elon Musk, everything, just look at Elon Musk. Elon Musk is a freaking white South African that was a part of the fucking apartheid. Okay? And we already know what white South Africans are on. Are you blick? Is he blick? He's blick, right? We already know what the white South Africans are on. So you got that aspect, right? So you're thinking, yeah, white South African, yeah, Rhodesia, yeah, right? So you're thinking like, yeah, we got a white supremacist in there. He's going to do for the white supremacy, yeah. Again, talk to me about Elon Musk when it comes to unions at Tesla. How are you going to have strong white families if you don't have young white men gainfully employed with solid wages that can support a family? And we already know what Becky wants because Becky gets up on these little street interviews and it's like, how much does a man need to make to date you? Oh, he got to make at least 6 figures. That's just the floor. That's the bare minimum. Oh, yeah. All that princess treatment that these white women were getting, since the fucking 1980s and shit like that. Oh, yeah, y'all done fucked yourselves up with that shit. White women are so unrealistic, it's painful at this point. They just be throwing up retarded numbers. Yeah, 500K, Your Honor. They just be throwing up retarded numbers. And y'all got to live up to that. That ain't nobody else's fault but you. Because no other group of men made Becky have those high-ass standards. You did. Because you thought, well, I got it like that. Well, guess what? No, your granddaddy had it like that. Your daddy might have had it like that. Nigga, you don't got it like that. You don't got it like that. So now what you gonna do? All the shit that you all are talking is not going to change the fact that the white elites don't want to pay you. They don't want to pay you. They've never wanted to pay you. They didn't want to pay you during the Ludlow massacre. They didn't want to pay you during the Latimer massacre. They didn't want to pay you during Blair Mountain. They didn't want to pay you during the Homestead massacre. They didn't want to pay you during the Memorial Day massacre. They never want to pay you. They didn't want to pay you when they were paying your ass in script. In script. They never wanted to pay you. Show me a point in time where they actually wanted to pay you. You might be able to say right after World War II, but truth be told, it was only because they were making such obnoxious money because the rest of the world was not a competitor. Now they're a competitor. You tell me how the United States is going to compete with BYD. Joe Biden slapping 100% tariff on BYD. 100% tariff? 100% tariff. That's how scared they are. You only start doing shit like that when you scared of competition. Again, in the words of Yoda, if so powerful you are, why leave? Right? America ain't as powerful as you think right now. Not economically speaking, not when it comes to the American people. And then you got the freaking deep state people. They want to go out and start wars all over the fucking place. But that military industrial complex that Dwight Eisenhower warned you about. Y'all need to get y'all shit straight. Y'all over here running around, foaming at the mouth, talking at white supremacy, white nationalists. I promise you that ain't going to get you to the promised land. I promise you that will not get you through the gates of Valhalla. I promise you that. I promise you that. This is about one thing and one thing only, and this is about jobs, education, and economic opportunities. They haven't. Even with immigrants, we don't want immigrants to come here anymore. Prices of food are going to go up. Okay, how does that make houses any more affordable? And then when it comes to the houses, who the fuck's going to build the houses? Right? Because you got rid of all the Mexicans that build the houses for cheap, who are getting paid $10 an hour to build the fucking house. And even if they were here to build the house, are the home developers, kicking down those costs down to you, or kicking down the what do you want to call it, the lower cost to you? Hey, we only paid guys $10 an hour to make this house, so we're going to make this house a fair price of $125,000. Does that sound fair to you? You think that fucking Toll Brothers is going to do some shit like that? Fuck no. Fuck no. They're gonna say, we're gonna use the Latinos, we're gonna make these houses for nothing. Jose, you get $6 an hour. You know what I'm saying? Eduardo, you get $6 an hour. You know what I mean? Freaking Enrique, you get $7.50 because you're managing these other two fucks. Okay? And then we're gonna sell this bitch ass house for $500,000 motherfucking dollars. We don't give a fuck. We don't give a fuck. We don't give a fuck. Right? That's what we gonna do. And y'all, regular ass white boys, y'all gonna take that shit in the ass with a smile. That's what y'all gonna do. How you like me now? Right? And y'all gonna crawl your bitch ass to the bank and saying, oh, please, sire, may I have a few more shillings so that I can enter a 30-year mortgage? Can you please lower the requirements? I only make $90,000 a year, and it says here I have to have $125,000 a year in order to qualify. How am I going to marry Becky? How am I going to bring back any resources to her to be able to provide for my precious white children? Oh, please, please, make something happen. Right? That's what y'all going to be doing. Either that or my prediction, many of y'all motherfuckers are going to crash the fuck out. And like I said, black people, you don't need to be anywhere in the blast radius. Stay the fuck away. You know what I'm saying? Stay vigilant. Keep your power tools on you just in case one of these motherfuckers are feeling froggy. Okay? Because I'm telling you, they're entitled. These white Americans are entitled. They cannot handle setback. Black people, we've been dealing with setbacks since the beginning of this motherfucker. But when it comes to them, they can't handle setback. Hell, they'll be crashing out over everything. You'll have one white dude, he crashing out because he got fired. You got another white dude, he crashing out because he hasn't been able to get a job in 6 months. You got another white dude, he's crashing out because he got his house got foreclosed on. Another dude is crashing out because he can't get any white pussy. Oh, they're gonna be crashing out all over the fucking place, man. It's gonna be a goddamn problem, just randomly crashing out all over the place. I'm telling you, that's what the fuck is gonna happen. So with that said, I'm done with my rant. I'm done with this video. I've kind of repeated myself with some, kind of combining some of the other earlier videos that I did that I didn't post. But, like I said, man, black people, I'm telling you, get your lawn chairs out. You know what I'm saying? Get your thermonuclear device, glasses. You know what I mean? Make sure you're out the blast radius. Get your popcorn. You know what I'm saying? Kick your feet up, right? And just watch the fireworks. I'm telling you, that's what's going. That's what the fuck is going to happen. It's going to look like Terminator 2 up in this bitch. And we don't need to be anywhere around. Black women, shut the fuck up and sit your ass down. Because all y'all silly bitches are going to do is get up there, put yourself in the middle of the shit, and then next thing you know, you got the white boys running around, throwing around conspiracy theories about Black Lives Matter, about how hard the system is fucking them in the ass, and talking about George Soros and how Black Lives Matter and all, man, sit your ass down. When they turn around and see who's fucking them in the ass, I don't even want them to see a black face in the crowd. I want them to turn around and see their own reflection when they see who's got them bent over. Stop trying to be important, black women, and always getting yourself in the middle of things. Sit your ass down and let it happen. Damn. I don't really have to tell the brothers this shit because many of them already know. Just as we saw all the brothers that sat this goddamn election out. Black women are the ones that are the problem in this situation. Because y'all out here always doing the most, always with your feminist agenda and all this other bullshit, not recognizing, what the real power play is that's actually going on. Women can't do anything but fucking beg and whine and cry and fuss. You do not have the power. You do not have the strength. You do not have the capability of violence of actually getting shit done. That's men. But y'all always out here thinking that your lips are so powerful and your words are so, no. Okay, when white people are engaging in white on white violence, you sit your ass down. Stop going out there trying to breastfeed everybody. Damn. Anyway, that's all I got to say. That's all I got for y'all. That's my video. SWP out. Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe.
Move. Hold on. Yeah. Hello? Where we at? Oh, you want to know where I'm at? We outside!